Hello, everyone. This is Jason Bonton, your Texas sports guy. Let's talk about those Texans. Texans are 0-3, looking for their first win against the Titans this Sunday. Texans struggling O-line has been having a struggling O-line and just released their safety, Gardner Johnson, this week. Both the Titans and the Texans need a win to even be a contender in the AFC South. The last three games, the Texans could have won, but didn't. But I think the problem is not just their O-line, it's their play caller, Nick Caley. Nick Caley being uh, being one of the Belichick disciples. Everybody thinks he should be successful, but we've now looked at that. Not everybody has been successful. Everybody that came from the Patriots organization from Belichick. Now we can see that these parts by themselves are not the best. Together, they're the best, but apart, they can't do very much. My problem is with the Houston Texans, they are not doing enough play action. They're doing more run on the ground stuff than play action. And I don't believe they're going to get anywhere with that. And with the struggling O-line, their quarterback's going to get sacked even more. So let's look at the games that the Texans could have won. So the first game was the Rams. They were up on the Rams 9-7. And field goals can't win games. Always remember that. Field goals do not win games. They didn't even get a touchdown in that first game. That is a game that the Texans could have won. Could have. Even with Matthew Stafford being as old as he is and whatnot, they could have taken advantage of that. But even with Matthew Stafford being as old as he is, he's still solid quarterback. But the problem right now is the offensive line. They need to block for him. They're not, believe they're not strong enough guys, or either they're not using the right schemes to block for him to throw. And if they're giving him time to throw, everybody is covered up. They know what the Texans are doing each time. It's very, very predictable. Another issue, penalties. Penalties are a big issue for the Houston Texans. They had at least 10 penalties that last game on defense and offense. It was a penalty-ridden game on both sides. When you play the Texans, just remember you'll get penalties. You'll get penalized, or they'll get the penalties and other team could win. Now, what is Nick Caley doing when he's thinking about this? Is he thinking he could get more on the ground than he can through the air because of some of the interceptions that CJ Stroud has thrown? I mean, some of the plays I've looked at haven't been very good. They're not very football IQ, so to speak. It's like he doesn't have the awareness when it's man to man or in the zone coverage. So when it's man to man and there's nobody there, why doesn't he just throw it away? Why does he take the sack is the problem. Even though he's getting good blocking from his O-line sometimes, why is he not just not throwing it away, which would be better instead of losing yardage? That puts strain on your kicker, who has to try to pin it down within the 10-yard line on the other side. But like I said, the problem starts with the offense, and I believe it's I don't know if D'Amico Ryans just isn't being hard enough on the Texans, or if he's just not just being lackadaisical or lethargic or what have you. But the offense needs to get some kind of rhythm if they are to win any games this year. It's going to be a long season because they have their division rivals. They have the Kansas City Chiefs. They have some tough teams. The Ravens are going to be a big one because they're hungry for some wins this season, especially Lamar Jackson. But issue is, in a few years, C.J. Stroud's going to want to trade. I hate to say it, but I think he's going to want to trade. He's not going to want to be on this offense. It's going to be like Andrew Luck. He's either getting sacked so much he's going to want to retire, or he's going to want to move to another team where he isn't getting sacked as much, where they can use him and know how to block for him. But this offense, it just seems they can't, or they just won't, or they just don't know. And I can't tell which is which. So I don't know if they just don't know what they're doing when they're trying to get C.J. Stroud to throw the ball, or what. So that is the big issue. That's why I'm wondering what Nick Caley is doing. So let's look at Nick Caley's comments on Facebook here. So Texas OC Nick Caley says, I have to do a better job of getting us going early. We have to play better. So Caley on the lack of motion within the offense for quarterback C.J. Stroud, who ranks toward the bottom among starting QBs with motion drop back. There's some game we may use it more, and there's some games we may not use it as much. It's week to week. But the problem is, it's very, very predictable. That is a big problem for the Texans. So Texans need to win this Sunday. Beat the Titans. Make them go 0-4. Hopefully this will turn this Texans season around.